You're listening to The Manifesting Guide with Ariana Rollins. I'm glad you're here. But just before we begin, if you'd like to release the blocks to making more money, you can find it at Cracking the Code to Making More Money at highertrueself.com/freebies. It's yours to enjoy for free. Now, on to the show. Episode 50, How to Bring the Being Back into Doing. Complacent. Satisfied with results so far without regard for impending dangers. Isn't that interesting? Because we think of the term complacent as something negative, right? We're being passive. But the definition, satisfied with results so far without regard for impending dangers. Wouldn't most people want that? This is Ariana Rollins. Thanks for listening. Norman Wiener, a brilliant mind who grew up during the rise of the Industrial Revolution, saw the inherent benefit of creating machines to replace human drudgery. Well, it appears his help for machinery was to free humans for more creative pursuits. Hence, his expression, cybernetics, human use of human beings. It's quite a wonderful thing, right? Because if you look at what happened with the Industrial Revolution, people were part of assembly lines. And someone was trained in screwing a particular nut, 358, onto assemble a car. Or they were a clicker and they were attaching, they had a machine and then it attached the soles to the bottom of shoes. They never were part of the whole process of developing or building something. And they became part of the machinery, right? Well, cybernetics, a term that Norman Wiener coined back in, he was an MIT professor, says something that really inspires me: human use of human beings. So cybernetics and why I studied it. No, I'm not a scientist or an MIT graduate. I am passionate about human evolution. Freeing people from the conditioning and the accepted protocols that are limiting human advancement or human expression. Freeing people, dare I say it, to fulfill their potential. So cybernetics and why I studied it, it proved to me that most humans are being directed and controlled outside themselves. So much so, it influences them to believe they are less capable than they really are. Wouldn't you say across the board that's most people? So sad. Our human design, the body, our brain is brilliant beyond measure. What we are capable of is truly staggering. I'm sure you've read people's bios. And you become inspired, awe, in fact, because you know this to be true. Maybe you don't feel it for yourself, but you know this is true. That what humans are capable of, things truly staggering. Read some of the great accomplishments of history. Go to a museum. Look at the paintings of the great masters. Read a classic that's so well written it brings tears to your eyes. Watch someone act in live theater. Or take a look at what's happening in science and technology. All amazing doings. Doings. Not human beings, but doings. Accomplishments, right? But along the way, our sciencing became more and more focused. Less on the being, more on the doing. And achieving things in life. And disregarding the process of how we get there, how we got things done. The being part of human being, was just dragged along. Whether it felt good to the person doing it or not, whether it felt good to the human. We became, as a culture, obsessed with doing. Just do it. Living much of our life like a slogan, whether it was right for us or not. I asked myself, what happened to the being part of human being? Yes, it's wonderful. Producing things, achieving things. It feels good. Having a productive day, looking back and say, I did that, feels good. We as humans are goal driving mechanisms. We like to achieve. It's part of our wiring. We are wired to grow, to learn, to evolve, to accomplish. I read a great book many years ago. Oh my gosh, 10, 15 years ago, by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. He's the author of Psycho-Cybernetics, and he describes it very well. We all have access to a goal-achieving mechanism inside of us. But through societal conditioning, our own life experience, we keep insisting on doing it without accessing that goal-achieving mechanism. We keep insisting on doing it the hard way. We focus on doing, and more doing, rather than tapping into the being and let the being inform our doing. I know that's kind of weird, right? Let me repeat it and tell you what I mean here. So, if we are being compassionate, loving, present, peaceful, and we do something from that state of consciousness, versus we're frustrated, fearful, angry, and we do something from that state of consciousness, do you think you might notice the quality of results if that were you? Would you be able to maybe feel the peacefulness inherent in whatever you created, whatever you did? You had lots of time, space. There was creative insights happening rather than this do, pressure forcing. I believe most humans are sensitive and they feel that. So going back to pre-industrial revolution, the paintings of the masters, can you feel their patience? Can you feel their urge to create something of lasting beauty? You can. And not that I'm in criticism of modern art, but perhaps one day compare the two. There's a consciousness shift, and it's not the painter's fault, who if they painted something in the modern art genre. It's the state of consciousness where our society was at the time. It's a lot of pressure, right? So if we focus on doing without coming from that being place, that still place within us, is that we lose a huge part of our humanity. And we lose a huge part of that incredible capability that's staggering. It's like operating from 5 or 10% of our brain, might we say. So the problem I love to consider and address, that it's not wise to forsake the being part of human, our feeling parts. I know more and more, thankfully, that society is considering feminine intuition and sensitivity and feeling as significant, important. But there was a time not that long ago, less than, I would say maybe 70 years, 60 years ago, 50 years ago, where female intuition and sensitivity and emotions, we were told there was something wrong with us, locked up in a mental asylum due to hysteria. So now, thankfully, we live in a society that even men will give credence to their intuition. Oh my goodness, am I glad I live in that kind of society. So the problem I address is that it's not wise to forsake the feeling part of us, the human part. And my interest at this time on the planet is to bring back the gentle, peaceful part of ourselves. And from that place, getting things done, like peaceful productivity. And we give that part of us, that peaceful human being part, a seat at the table of advising us, counseling us. What is our next objective? What's the right job for me? What's a relationship where I can bring all parts of me and I can contribute? I invite all of us to bring that gentle, peaceful part of us into our day-to-day doing. What does this look like? Well, we could set targets like Norman Wiener, the cybernetics that are aligned with our beingness, our inner being, our true self, which enables the journey, the process of achieving our objectives, to have some joy, some harmony, and peacefulness. That, at the end of the day, is what we will be left with when we shed our body. It's the experience, it's the love shared, it's the process, it's the journey of our life. It's the accumulation that we will take away. The achievements, well, way less important. Isn't that interesting? Because as feminine sensitivity and feelings and intuitions was poo-pooed for so very long, it's the feelings, the moments in our life where we felt deeply, we loved, that we will take away. This process of living, how we proceed in our day-to-day dealings with ourselves and others, is why I teach the work I do in the Higher True Self Life Change Training. Because doing's important, it's fun. We love to accomplish things, and thank goodness for that. It drives new inventions. But being, my friends, is vital and loving. Higher True Self Life Change Training, bringing the being back into our doing. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the show and would like to get notifications of future episodes, go to highertrueself.com/podcast. Now, if you'd like to build true self-confidence, you can get one of our guided meditations and exercises completely for free. You can find it at highertrueself.com/freebies. Remember, self-confirmation frees you to be yourself.